Hello, Joe Jekyll. A lot of times we talk about self-discovery and how it leads to performance enhancement. It's one of our main issues that we like to put into our coaching programs with Madzook. Most of the focus from what you see out on the internet today, Instagram, Facebook, many programs that are out there, NLP, CBT, positive self-talk, a lot of it puts a focus on self-discovery. But what happens is, more often than not, the focus of the practitioner becomes trying to enlighten people about the self, right? And so once we start talking about the self, there's many aspects of the self. There's self-efficacy, the belief in your skills. There's self-confidence, the belief in who you are. There's self-awareness, knowing what's around you and your surroundings. There's many entities that are the self, that make up the self. But there's a second part of self-discovery, and that's discovery, right? So as you discover who you are in your being inside, sometimes you might want to take the time to discover what it is that surrounds you, what makes you happy. We've talked about happiness as a success measure many times. And there's what's called eudaimoc happiness or hedonic happiness. So we don't need to get into the types of happiness today. What I want you to understand is that happiness is an important measure. So as we measure our happiness, we start to learn more about ourselves. So our discovery of our external world, the places that we visit, that surround us, where we live, who we talk to, who we interact with, what makes you feel good and warm inside, what gives you that heebie-jeebie feeling, right? Okay, this leads to the self, to more understanding of the self. So take today, for example. I'm out today on a hike at a place called Prom Tem Cape, and it's close to my house here in Phuket, Thailand, where I currently live. And as you can see, the beautiful Andaman Sea is stretched behind me as a backdrop. And we're on some really nice mountain drops. And we're using our camera phone today as we're out in the field. So, you know, maybe, I'm not sure if you can see, I can't really pan in for you, but if you can see, there's big hills, big cliffs. Phuket is one of the most beautiful places on the planet, for sure. And the Thai people are beautiful people. They have a word for fun called sanuk, right? And the word for every day is tukwan. So the Thai people try to have sanuk tukwan, huh? And so they try to have fun every day. They dub Thailand the land of 10,000 smiles. And there's 30 people out here today, post-COVID, most of them not with a job, and they are smiling and they are discovering what it is that's around them, right? So you want a path to good happiness, you want to understand how to discover yourself more, take the time and discover the things that are around you. Imagine, if you will, with me, that you were a sailor and you were sailing these seas one time, because this whole lane out here at nighttime, it's just green lights, and it's a huge shipping lane with the big giant container ships, right? And so there's many places on the island here that we can get a nice viewpoint, and we sit and watch the ships as they go by. So as you see all of this, somebody at one time had to say, I'm going to discover that. Somebody at one time had to build the things that are here. Somebody at one time told others, hey, you should go discover this. So now some will walk this place and we will share the path. We will share the same path to our destination, but we will not see it the same way. So the discovery was there for us all. But how that discovery affected us individually, how it affected ourselves, well, that comes down to us as an individual. All right, so take the time, discover your world. If it's close to you, there's no reason for you to go see it, because one day, make that today. Sanuk, tukwan, today, have fun, every day, have fun. Discovery is also about the doorways that present themselves to us in life. Sometimes we see these doorways, sometimes we walk right by them. We never know what lies beyond what doorway. There once was a game show, and it was called Let's Make a Deal. And what would happen would be the players would show up, and there'd be these doors, 1, 2, 3 doors. And the player had to decide, I'll take door number 1, Johnny, or they had to say, okay, now you win the prize behind door number 1. But what about the big prize that still might be behind door number 3? Do you want to gamble? Do you want to say, I'm going to forget what's under door 1 because I'm ready to open door 3? Or do you want to say, no, I'm happy with where I am at door 1? This is personal choice. And so much of personal development and so much of self-discovery is about this personal choice. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to see the doorways. If they open, sometimes we walk through them and paradise is on the other side. Sometimes we walk through them and it might be a little shaky, a little rocky. There might be a tree to climb. There might be an ocean to swim. There might be some problems that we encounter. However, if we don't try to conquer these and we turn and we run backwards away from the doorway, it's a glass doorway and we can look through and maybe we can see the people on the other side, but we can never get through. All right, you have to choose to take the step. That's the part of self-discovery. The doorway is the potential for discovery. The self must step through the doorway and open the door. So much of the discovery that we encounter in our lives also comes from the environments that we place ourselves in or that we travel daily. For some of us, we're able to travel the world. For others, we're able to travel the neighborhood, right? Some of us, we travel virtually. We go online and we see many great places online and we really, get a sense of a culture. So take for instance the discovery like the mother trees, the tree of life. Many people know from the movie Avatar, there was the big tree of life. And it became this famous symbol throughout the movie. But did you know in majority of Asian cultures, there is a tree that symbolizes life. The majority of African cultures, there is a tree that symbolizes life. Lebanon and the Middle East had the mystic cedars, which are talked about in the Bible and the Quran, and ancient texts and ancient stories. You go over to the West, and some of the most magical places in the West, in the United States and Canada, are the old growth forest. I mean, they literally are magical. I've personally been to them, and I can stand 12 men wide, all the way around, and we barely can get our arms locked. And then it stands 150 meters high, right? So much of culture is based on similarity, but also specific difference. And the unique thing about discovery, you'll find that when you go to other cultures, much of you think the same, but there's subtle differences. There's little things that are different. And because of those differences, sometimes we spread out or we limit our discovery, right? But the discovery, especially the discovery of yourself, is embrace these cultures, embrace these things, understand them. Don't look for what's different between you and someone else. Look for what's similar between you and someone else. And appreciate where you find a difference, that person, that's them. That's what makes them their self. Because most of the time, they're on a journey trying to discover themselves as well. So self-discovery comes from an environment of unique individuals, each one, all of us, looking for our true self. Every inch of discovery, whether it's our environment or whether it's ourself, is a stair-step process. And for discovery, for goal setting, as we talked about the other day, for life, if we try to go from the bottom step to the top step without taking each step at a time, we're sure to fall. Discovery is the same. Each step leads to a greater discovery. So let's take those steps one at a time. We'll look up, and all of a sudden we see the horizon beyond us. We are no longer down on the bottom step. We have now achieved a process. We have risen. We have discovered. The process to self-discovery starts with that single step. What will you do today to take that first step of your own discovery?